All right, good morning. Let's go over today's trade plan. So in the overnight session, the buy side remained in control, and the buyers held on to their recent gains, holding ES above 1900. Now at this point, ES is making all-time highs, so there is no hard resistance up at these areas above 1900. Any place where ES does find sellers, it's purely because it's hitting a short-term exhaustion point, or it could be because the other markets are hitting their own resistance areas, which is bringing some selling into the S&P as well. And for that reason, it's important to be cautious on taking any short setups. And if you are going to take any short setups, you want to time it with the other markets hitting a pretty major resistance zone, so that you have some higher odds of a pullback. And you also want to do it when you see a setup in real time and the market is short-term exhausted. Otherwise, I think the safer setups at this point are going to be on the long side. We've just broken out to another all-time high, and it's unlikely that we're just going to fail and reverse. I think right now, short-term, the safer strategy is to buy pullbacks into support. Now, the types of reaction we get at support don't necessarily have to be extremely strong right off the bat, but given the overall bullish context, the ideal setups are, or at least the safer setups, are probably going to be on the long side, on buying pullbacks into support areas. 1900 is a bit aggressive, but if the market's strong, then we probably won't even pull back to 1900. The 1897 area is a safer spot to take a long setup, 95.5 to 97.5 initial support. You have some confluence over there, and given that we just broke out, if we pulled back to the breakout area or the prior VPOC, there's some confluence of that Friday breakout as well as Friday's IB high and the previous close and the naked VPOC at 97. So at 95.5 to 97.5 is a pretty high odds support zone, especially on first test. So a pullback into that zone could shut off the selling, and then we just continue and balance at higher prices. And that's if we even get a pullback to 1897. Below it, you don't want the market really breaking below 94.75. If it does, it's not necessarily going to put sellers in control. It'll just tell you that there's a little bit of short-term weakness, and we could be headed to 89.5 to 91.5, where the market can again find buyers. So on the downside, those are really the zones that have potential to get tested, and ideally the buyers hold ES above 95.5 to 97.5, and then we just continue printing new highs and heading higher. Now we are going to be watching the other markets to get a sense of the level of strength, and in order for a continued upside move in ES, we do want to see NQ holding above 36.91. That is a important HVN, and we want to see a breakout above 36.91 in NQ. Above it, we have some resistance short term around 3700 to 3703, and then 3710 to 3715. But with S&P already printing new highs, we don't necessarily have to fail at those resistance areas. Those could just be pause points in NQ, and NQ can start making its way back up to its own yearly high towards the 3726 to 3733 area. In TF, TF has a bigger kind of move to catch up. It's showing a bigger divergence, but we know that once TF starts catching up, it can do so very quickly. In a short term, there's some resistance at 1135 to 1137, 1138 roughly, and above that, we have some bigger resistance around 1150 half to 1151 half, and 1153 to 1155. Ideally, we want to see TF making its way back up towards that 1150 to 1155 range on the day time frame today. Now, if the volume remains light, it doesn't have to do it all in one day, but the important thing is that we get a breakout in TF and NQ. We do definitely want to see a breakout in TF and NQ today, just to kind of confirm the upside strength in the S&P. So, the main ideas are going to be buying pullbacks into support. The short side can work, but it's going to require, pretty precise timing. And if the other markets are in breakout mode, then you definitely don't want to look for any short ideas. And even if you see a short setup in real time, you may just want to skip it because when the markets are clearly showing one side in control, that's not the time to be fading the price action, especially when you're breaking to all-time highs. So, unless the market hits like a major exhaustion point as NQ and TF are hitting resistance, we don't really want to be active on the short side. We want to focus more on buying pullbacks. And even on buying pullbacks, this can be a difficult market to trade because, if you're getting involved at too high of a price, there's that potential to get chopped. And, it's not just about identifying market direction, but it's about getting in at a spot where you have decent reward to risk, where the probability of the market hitting your stop are low, and the probabilities of hitting the target are high. So that means being patient for a pullback too, or seeing something in real time. And if you're kind of taking a momentum trade, that's the only time where buying high and selling higher makes sense. But if the volume remains light and there's really not a strong pace in this market, then it is going to be a tougher market to trade. It could be kind of this slow, trudgy market on the way up, and you may just have to sit out and wait for a better spot and a higher odds setup. So, I think this is a market where it's very easy to take some needless losses, and when the market is kind of in this phase where the volatility is low, the volume's light, it's better to not take a trade and avoid a needless drawdown rather than being extra active, taking the drawdown, then trying to make it back up. Saving a 1 hour loss is essentially the same as nailing a 1 hour profit. So, for that reason, we are going to have to kind of gauge the type of momentum this market has. On the econ calendar, we have consumer confidence at 9 a.m. Central. So, in the first 30 minutes, there could be a little bit of continued back and forth. The markets are at important inflection points, like NASDAQ being very close to the 3691. So, there could be a little bit of back and forth off the open, but overall the buy side is in control, and the expectation is to either hold on to the recent gains and balance above initial support, or put in a slight pullback and then actually print another high and then balance at higher prices. So just let's keep all these ideas in mind. Let's keep an eye on the other markets, see how they're dealing with their own resistance areas, and that'll give us an idea of how strong this market is, and we'll take it from there.